Hello, everyone. Welcome to another FPV drone racing episode of the Butter What Show. I'm Pat Regan. This is my co host, Brian C. Moses. And not too long ago, Emax came out with a new version of their TinyHawk Tubby.
They
And
did.
I'm a dope. Don't go anywhere. So, Emax, the TinyHawk is called it's a brushless tiny whoop. Okay, we've said a lot of stuff that I've deleted here from this episode. Brian and I are FPV drone enthusiasts, and FPV drones is different than those photography drones you see. We wear goggles. You need a radio. You have to buy a radio. These goggles were about $500. This radio was about $200. Then there's extra things, and then you need drones. That's before you get any drones. And getting into this hobby, which is very much like playing a video game, but in real life, getting into the hobby has been challenging for people. And the lovely folks at Emax have upgraded their TinyHawk beginner kit, I guess we can call it. Does that sound right to you, Brian?
I think so. I think that's or at least that's what we recommend to people when they ask us about getting into it. Because, like you were talking about, the entry level to get the hardware that you were just showing on the camera, that's a ton of money. That's a lot of money to spend if you go out and the first day you say, I hate this. It gives me vertigo. I don't like it. I can't figure it out. That's a lot of money to spend to find out you don't like something.
It's true. And the first time I saw an FPV drone and I put somebody's goggles on, I said, well, what do I do to get into this? And they said, yeah, spend $300 on a radio, $500 on this, and all this nonsense. I was like, well, that seems difficult. That's challenging. But then a few years ago, Emax came out with a kit for this little indoor drone. And the old kit was about $200, got you a cheap set of goggles, a cheap controller, and the little drone, a little charger, batteries, just enough to get you going. That one was about $200, and it was kind of toy grade. The drone is fantastic. I still fly the drone. But the new kit, the TinyHawk 3 kit, is about $100 more, if I'm remembering the price correctly from the old. Well, I know it's $300 because we have it. We have it right here. It's $300. But $300 gets you a decent set of box goggles, a usable radio, not the toy grade radio like they used to. You get a drone. This is the original TinyHawk 1, and I haven't broken mine yet. I think that's impressive. How many whoops did you have before the TinyHawk, Brian?
Several, 3, 4,
Yeah, they
5.
used to always die on me. The frames
or they break.
The frames would break. The camera would break. The motors would break. I've been flying this for, could it be 3 years now? But this video that's playing here, Tubby, this is at our friend Paul's house. There were about a half a dozen of us together, and we set up race gates to run our TinyHawks around the house. These are made for in the house, if that wasn't obvious. These little guys here.
It was fun.
This was me racing. This was me racing. This exact drone is what's in that recording that video right there. Well, the goggles are recording the video, but the video's coming out of this camera.
Yep. Look at those sloppy lines.
I know, right? It's the best I could do. Look, my battery's almost dead. Oh gosh, and I was going to go for another lap. But this isn't entirely a dead end. If you get this kit and you spend $300, you're going to outgrow these goggles. You're going to outgrow that radio. And you'll outgrow the little battery charger. Everything it's just a stepping stone into the world.
Yep.
I imagine you'll fly the drone for a long time. But you can upgrade. I don't need to find the website. This little guy is the TinyHawk Freestyle. This one's the original Tubby.
Yep.
The new one is the TinyHawk 2 Freestyle. And I'll bet you there'll be a 3 at some point.
Here. A couple months, I imagine.
But yeah, this little guy, if you take him outside and it's windy, you might not be able to fly back to yourself because this doesn't have a lot of power. This other guy, he'll go 50, 60, 70 miles an hour without any trouble. I don't think we speed gunned that, but it feels about right.
Sounds like a challenge.
It does. We have a speed gun. It's in that closet back there.
Is it big enough to set it off?
Well, it's pretty tiny. Well, that's the nice thing about these little guys. Like the drones that Brian and I fly, you put a 100-gram GoPro on the top. They weigh about 1.5 pounds, and they'll go 100 miles an hour, and you could smash a windshield with them. You could ruin somebody's day if you screw up.
Break bones.
Yeah,
Cut. Yeah,
cut somebody. Yeah, there's some nasty pictures of people that have made mistakes with larger machines. But these little guys, it's tougher to cause like, don't fly this into somebody's eyeball. Pretend it's a heavy drone that's going to hurt somebody. Just treat it like you would the big scary stuff. But know that you're not likely to hurt somebody if you screw up. The level of fear that you have is a lot lower with something like this. But what I'm saying is, and I don't know if I said this at the beginning, you buy the kit and you get this, and when you're comfortable, you can spend another 120 or 130 bucks on this and start flying outside like the rest of us do. And as far as I know, we'd have to verify this. I'll put it down the bottom if I'm wrong, or I'll cut this out. But this can be controlled by the radio in the kit that I'm pointing at like it's open, but it's not.
It's open.
Here we go. That radio in the kit, the controller. Brian hasn't told you this, but he has a race timer that we used the last time we raced at his house. You put it underneath one of the gates, and it keeps track of your video signal when it goes past. And Judy counts out and tells you how long it took you for each lap, for each racer, up to 4 of us.
Yep, you could set up. Yeah, mine will do up to 4, right?
Yep.
We didn't do the full 8. And it's a cool little DIY project. I'm sure Pat will put a link to my blog in the video description about building that.
Absolutely. I should have taken some video. I have video of me racing the day that we did that, but I don't have, Judy talking or anything. I don't have any of that.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, we should have set up a GoPro at the start line or something.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah, I'm glad, and we're getting into the time of year where this will be the best flying for lots of people around the country. It's getting cold.
Yeah, the people who are in the cold areas are going to be flying these tiny whoops in the house. Like this TinyHawk. Oh, I know what I can tell you.
What can you tell me?
Well, when I didn't buy the bundle with the goggles and the radio. I just bought the TinyHawk. But when this used to be $200, the camera was a lot. This is a much worse camera. The video transmitter on this is very weak. It's only 25 milliwatt. The new one does 200. The radio was cheaper. Everything in this has been upgraded. You're getting your extra $100 worth.
Yeah, my upgrade. I upgraded to the 2 when it came out, and sold my 1, and they did the same thing. A better camera, not as good as the one that's in the 3, but a better camera that was in the OG TinyHawk, and it was a fantastic upgrade.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close. I think the TinyHawk 2 and 3 are pretty. The drones are pretty comparable, but the radio and the goggles.
Yeah, and the kit.
Oh, and the goggles come apart. Did you see that?
The goggles come apart and turn in, and it. Yeah, I thought that was cool because even when you upgraded to some nice Fat Shark goggles like we have, you could keep that screen forever and use it to show somebody. We always, before COVID, we used to run into people at the park who would ask us what we were doing, and we would loan them our goggles and say, "Hey, here, watch Pat fly and do a power loop on this tree."
Everyone's always excited.
Everyone's always excited, and having that extra monitor is fun.
But my advice would be to any of you guys that buy the TinyHawk, when you upgrade your goggles and you upgrade your radio, give them to the next guy, and your friend, your family, father, son, cousin, whatever. Give it to them. Get them hooked too. We need more pilots, Brian.
It would be a fantastic idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that not upcycle? Repurpose.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
or sideways or whatever this works out to.
Yeah, because after you get them into it, they're going to spend a bunch of money and they're going to be mad at you for getting them into an expensive hobby. And then you'll have a get out of jail free card. You go say, hey, I gave you your first radio and goggles. I don't know why you're mad at me.
Yep. Now, that's something we didn't touch on. Is this an expensive hobby, Brian?
It's a good question.
I think it depends who you ask.
I think it is, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Yep.
I mean, when we first got started, it was like undoubtedly. I mean, we bought $200 radios. We bought. There were inexpensive.
We used to have to spend $500 to build one of our 5-inch freestyle drones. You just had to. That was how much stuff cost.
And now you don't. I mean, you can get a decent drone for $200. You can get a decent radio for under $100. You can get decent goggles. I mean, it adds up fast, but I think it's less expensive now to get into than we did before. But it is not an inexpensive hobby either. I mean, hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I always say that I've got about $2,000 in my bag between cameras and spare parts, spare drones, and stuff.
Collection of batteries, chargers. Yep. I mean, and it depends on how far in you want to go. I mean,
but you could get a decent bag full of stuff, of mid-range stuff, for less than some people spend on a driver for their golf bag.
Yep.
It's
or a GPU for your gaming rig, right?
Today, especially
today.
My God.
But even in the non-Bitcoin shortage GPU days, a decent GPU would be getting into the drone hobby completely.
Yep, it's true.
Or like a PlayStation 5 or a Nintendo Switch, or throw in the latest gaming console here.
Yep,
it's pretty equivalent.
And it really is like playing a video game in real life, Brian. I can't emphasize that enough, I don't think. Oh, and we didn't even mention that you can play a simulator with this. Oh my god, we should have had an outline.
With the radio. Yep.
Yeah. They didn't say if you could plug this radio. I didn't see it in the write-up if you could plug this into your computer. But you could set the TinyHawk to be a wireless USB joystick kind of magic.
Yep. I think I don't know for sure, but I thought I remember.
But if you're watching
saying
this,
that you could.
I know you're watching, Brian, because you're looking right into my eyes here. It's creepy. I see you. But just about every Thursday night, I missed Thanksgiving. I forgot Thanksgiving was a Thursday, Tubby. But every Thursday night at 9 p.m., we play the Velocidrone Racing Simulator with our friends on our Discord server. So if you follow our advice and you get into this, get this kit, come join us and come race with us.
Or just come yell at us for getting you into an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
We will apologize.
There's no cheaper way to learn to fly than to fly in the simulator.
Yep.
And no faster way. We didn't have good simulators when Brian and I learned. So we would crash and you'd fly a quarter of a battery and have to go recover your drone. You'd have to go walk out there to find it in the bushes, bring it back, make sure everything was okay, and try again. We used to spend so much time just walking. Recovering.
Yeah. Knock it out of a tree.
Yep.
Lose it in tall grass, and everybody has to stop and help you.
Yeah. And in the simulator, all you do is you flip a switch on your radio or hit a key on your keyboard, and it resets everything. And
you're back to your starting.
Go try again. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, everybody that we fly with has gotten infinitely better since we started playing in the simulator on a regular basis.
Yep. I haven't flown it since March, but I'm a better pilot than I was in March, for sure. I might be a little goofy the first time I go out to fly freestyle though, because we've been racing all the time.
We've been going fast.
It's a different kind of skill, but there's overlap.
Everything that I do now is fast.
Yeah.
Fast, relatively speaking. I'm not faster than Pat most of the time.
Yeah, and don't be shy about coming to race with us. We have guys that take 2 or 3 minutes a lap, and we have people that take less than a minute for 3 laps, all playing at the same time, and it's fine. Nobody needs to be fast. We have somebody every point in between that. We have somebody, Brian, in our little group.
Yep.
See, we don't do a good job having an end of these episodes, and I'm okay with that. I don't know if it was the one I just uploaded, but we're just talking about random stuff as I put the cards to go to the next episode up.
Yep.
I enjoyed the way
And
that worked out.
I can't remember which one I was watching, but
I almost deleted it because it's not that useful, but I was like, no, this is fine. We'll keep it up there.
like that ending was peculiar. And then it just ends.